Hey, you gonna do the intro?
I am. I don't see it recording on my end. Does it say recording on your end? There it
I
goes.
see
Now it
recording.
says recording.
Okay.
See, Mario did this to us just to make sure we missed him. All right. Thank you for joining us today on the Bolt Crew podcast. Again, I'm Dave Palet. That's Josh Palet. Usually there's a guy sitting in the square below us. His name's Mario Herron. He's on vacation in Florida. Those people that you do see him with, if you follow Mario on social media, are related to him. He's just not going to random water parks and throwing kids all over the place. Not a weirdo. He's has a giant family, and so he's doing the big family reunion deal. I'll be honest with you, kind of jealous of the whole family reunion deal. We've never done one of those before. You have a huge family, Josh.
Yeah, but they all have their own kids. It's not
Yeah,
cool, you know? Like I'm the only one that doesn't have kids in the family.
but at the same time, if I said, hey, we're doing a family reunion, even now that you're married and we would do, let's say we got everyone together from people that your family on the East Coast, and not want to bring all the people from Europe over, but the people on the East Coast and people, I guess, kind of in the Midwest and then the West Coast, and we all met somewhere. Would you be interested in that?
Not really.
Yeah. Would you use
No.
your vacation time on that?
No. I'd rather go like to a destination spot. We get together on the holidays, right?
That's
We can
enough.
grill up some hamburgers. That's cool. But
Yeah.
getting together in like Indianapolis, there's many more things I'd rather do.
I think they got together in Florida is what the plans were. Here's the deal. I don't know about how many other families out there, as I'm sure many of you have thought this through, and we'll get to football. We got a lot of football stuff to talk to. But I always think about this is, you choose your friends, you don't choose your family. And how many times have you left a family event, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, and you're like, whew, we survived it. Like there was no major fight. Nobody started crying, right? You're driving home. You're like, that was kind of a big weight off your back, correct?
Correct. I think as long as you don't talk about politics, it's a big win for any family, right? People are
Yeah.
gonna get pissed off no matter what. We know that
Yeah.
very
You know
well.
what? Okay. That's a real quick question about this. Let's
We'll
say
talk
everybody,
football, I promise.
I
Yeah.
will. Okay. But I got a question. I don't get to talk to Josh a lot. He's busy. So I'm going to bring this up. Let's say you bring up politics, but everyone in the whole family agrees with your politics. So you guys are all on the same page. You guys are still going to get pissed off. Like you know what I mean? You're going to get so upset about how other people don't think like the smartest family in the room that you're still going to get elevated. It's not like you're going to go, hey, we all agree. Let's move on to talking about the Chargers. That's not what's going to happen. People are still going to get pissed.
Yeah. I mean, you should never talk about religion, politics, or like a woman's weight, right? Aren't those like the three things you never bring up, no matter what?
Yeah, and well, I never thought about women's weight. I guess is one of them, but yeah, let's throw that in there. Don't do that.
Yeah. Try to stay away from that one.
All right, we'll get to we'll get to the show. I begin to see you guys in the chat. Appreciate everyone being here. I think Angie was the first person I saw in here, by the way. And the only reason I don't mention Angie because I got yelled at 2 weeks ago when Angie wasn't here. I said, "Where's Angie?" And then people got on me for not mentioning their names. I see every one of your names. Okay, when you guys give yourself nicknames, by the way, it's tough for me to read them because I'm like, is this a joke? Like I feel like I'm gonna fall for one of those lines on The Simpsons, like it's not a real name, but then when you say them together, you're going, the guy actually said it. So I see everybody here. Appreciate everyone that joins the show, especially during what they call the off season. For a time, actually, Josh, when Mario's gone and we've been looking for stuff to get excited about when the Chargers come back to get ready for the Hall of Fame game, we did have some stuff that to me was interesting. And I want to start with the first one because I've told you before as you're growing up and people always say, who's your favorite Charger? And we did this about 2 weeks ago, top 5 favorite Chargers of all time. And in my top 5, and I could easily put him number 1, is Rodney Harrison. And so Rodney Harrison was announced as going into the Chargers Hall of Fame. Couldn't be more deserving of it. It's one of those deals where Rodney had a bad relationship with the Chargers when he left. It's what the Chargers do. It's one of those things the Chargers should be embarrassed about, that when their best players leave, nobody ever leaves happy, right? Junior didn't leave happy. Rodney didn't leave happy. Eric Weddle didn't leave happy. John Jefferson didn't leave happy. I can go on and on. LT might have been the worst one. I mean, we got a Jets tattoo 2 days later and put his house up on the market. A lot of guys don't leave happy, and maybe it's like that some other NFL teams. But Rodney had more years remaining, and he proved it. He played his first 10 seasons with the Chargers, played his last 5 with the New England Patriots, won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots. And it's funny, the best team that he was on was the one that was undefeated the whole year. And the David Tyree catch with, ironically, was Rodney Harrison on his back trying to pull that ball loose. That was probably the best team he was ever on. and they didn't win that year. That's the one that would have given Junior Seau, by the way, a Super Bowl ring because he was on that Patriots team. So Rodney Harrison goes in the Chargers Hall of Fame. A lot of people saw the social media post that went through this week, and it was his former teammate, Jim Harbaugh, who gave him the call to tell him, where he was in the car and told him, hey, I thought it was funny that Rodney Harrison answered the phone, what's up, coach? Because he was never, coach, but he was his quarterback at one time. And here he is telling him, you're going in the Charger Hall of Fame. This is, to me, Josh, the Chargers moving in the right direction to make the wrong things right, bad things right. You understand this? You can't keep going through being known as the organization that kicks people in the ass on the way out the door and treat them poorly.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's a very good point. When you look at some of these bad organizations like the Sacramento A's or what used to be the Washington Redskins, teams that treat players poorly and treat their fans poorly, they have one thing in common. They can't read the room, right? They just cannot read the room. They can't seem to get out of their own way. And for years, I thought the Chargers were part of that discussion of teams that kind of just can't get out of their own way. They can make really dumb decisions. Letting Rodney Harrison be inside of your Hall of Fame is a smart decision. I believe that Rodney Harrison is one of the few Chargers in Chargers history that embodied what a winning player needs to do from a star standpoint, right? You have lesser guys that, throw their bodies on the line, but from a leadership and playing on the field standpoint, Rodney Harrison was everything that was right with the Chargers. Yeah, some people are going to say he was a dirty player. Some people are going to say he's not deserving to be in the NFL Hall of Fame because, he had ill intentions. But sometimes you need guys like that on your team. You need a guy that's going to knock your head off and lead by example during the practices, right? You hear about Rodney Harrison in practices was just as intense as he was in the games. And then on the field, he needs to play like a star, which he was.
He was. He was a star. He was a leader. The Chargers had multiple leaders in that defense, which is rare, I think, on any sports team or even in an office situation to have that one person guys follow. Junior was the one people followed. Guess what? Rodney learned quickly to be that other guy. And the only other circumstance I can think of where it was also like that, and people might throw other names at me, Reggie White was a big deal for the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day. They also had Jerome Brown. But Jerome Brown was kind of a goofball. Unfortunately, he ended up passing away because he was kind of being a goofball. But there's really, as I say, there's one leader in the room. All right. So the Baltimore Ravens are the team I think about when they had Ray Lewis, who they ended up getting Ed Reed, and Ed Reed quickly jumped in behind to say, I'm going to work just as hard as you. I'm going to be another version of you, but I'm going to be behind you. I thought the Chargers at that time, and don't go crazy, I understand the Chargers didn't win a Super Bowl, but you had Junior Seau, who was the first one there in the morning working out, and then Rodney Harrison, who learned to say, I'm going to beat Junior Seau to workouts in the morning. And if both of us are doing it, hopefully other guys follow. And, boom, the Chargers become better. They become not only because the Charger defense for years was always a goof thing. For years, since the late 70s, Chargers had no defense that could score a ton of points. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you get Junior, you have Rodney. Rodney was not, the first round pick. He was a guy that just worked his ass off. And as Charger fans, I loved him. I know some people used to get frustrated that he would get kind of like Derwin James. The league was on him for certain rules violations and fines and suspensions. But, man, you loved it. From that position, especially, Josh, you loved it.
Absolutely. And I love this this comment right here by Pacific Beats. He says, he was my Derwin before Derwin.
Dude,
you got to see you. Okay, that was going to be what I was going to say to you. You saw more of Rodney Harrison than I did just because of my age. Do you agree with that? You think he was like Derwin James before Derwin James?
Put it this way. He's what Derwin would be if the rules were back in the day. You understand? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's funny because we've seen Derwin get in trouble by the NFL, which we all got extremely frustrated by, especially when we see other teams that seem to act crazy. Derwin plays the game the way Rodney used to play it. I bet you Rodney Harrison would say the same thing. If the rules were the same for Derwin now that they were back for Rodney in the 90s, Derwin would be the guy taking everybody's head off. You just can't hit people the way Rodney was allowed to hit people. And he still got fined and still got in trouble. Mm-hmm. Derwin would have loved, come on. It's the easiest thing to do if you play that position. We've all seen the highlights of it. To sit there and go across the middle, we're going to take your head off. And now the NFL's completely changed. And look, it's not as exciting for fans, but at the same time, you talk about long-term health and guys living past the average age of 53. I think it's important the NFL did what they did.
I get it. Do you think he's deserving of being in the NFL Hall of Fame? You look at his Pro Bowls. I don't know how much people look into Pro Bowls. He only had 2 of them. He's a 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was also in the AFC at the same time as Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, and some other safeties. So it's hard to come by those Pro Bowls. Do you believe he's a Hall of Fame level player?
I think he's a Hall of Fame level player because I listen to Bill Belichick talk about him. And if there's anyone that knows defense and knows winning defense, Bill Belichick will say Rodney Harrison's right there on his first group of guys of all time. I mean, he puts them in the same category as there's Lawrence Taylor, and then there's guys like Rodney Harrison, guys like Junior. And so for Bill Belichick sees a Hall of Famer, I 100% believe he's a Hall of Famer. Here's the thing that I thought would hold him back, but you're seeing this now happen in multiple sports. Guys who tested positive for PEDs weren't getting in. And that's always been the criticism for Rodney. He's not getting in because of a positive test. Well, Antonio Gates, you know what? He tested positive too, and things are working out for him. So I hope Rodney gets his chance. You know, Rodney and I are about the same age. Again, when I first started in radio years and years ago, Rodney was always good to me. But I'll tell you this, out of all the years I've walked into locker rooms in different sports, he was one of the few guys I got nervous when I was near him. Like, you know, I'm taller than him, bigger than him, knew I wasn't stronger than him, knew he could probably kick my ass. And I never felt comfortable being around guys like that what I seen them do at work to, if he got upset with a question, like, what would he do to me? That was kind of the feeling. You see what I'm saying? You just don't feel comfortable with guys that are, I don't want to say crazy, but when you say, man, you can get out there and rip someone's head off, that says a lot. That says a lot. And thank goodness he was always cool to us.
Yeah, he's always been a good guy. I've met him a couple of times. He's been very nice to me. I think the Chargers find themselves in a rare position when it comes to safeties. You can argue that I don't even want to put myself out here like that, but 3 of the top 5 defensive players that I've seen in my lifetime have all been safeties. Derwin James, Eric Weddle, and Rodney Harrison. And they've all been fantastic leaders. Do you guys remember when Eric Weddle was on the Chargers? He was definitely the leader of that defense.
Yes.
Derwin James is the leader of the defense today. I'd say even over Khalil Mack just because he's been there for longer. And then you have Rodney Harrison, who was on the same team as Junior Seau, but was definitely a guy that guys looked up to. And if you're running a route as a receiver, there's nobody scarier than thinking, oh my God, Rodney Harrison is back here. He's going to knock my head off.
Exactly. So here's the other thing to make you more depressed. If you go back and you look at those drafts and where the Chargers picked and how they got to where they picked, the Chargers could have had both Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. When you just talked about all those great safeties, they could have had both of those guys, but they butchered it. Maybe Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu just didn't have enough on their college tape to be impressive. That's 100% being facetious right there for anyone who actually just thought that was true. Troy Polamalu completely was the best player at USC with Carson Palmer. They only had 2 guys on that team. Troy Polamalu ran the defense and Carson Palmer ran the offense, won the Heisman Trophy. Ed Reed was ridiculous at Miami. How in the hell did he blow it? I think one of the guys that grabbed was Sammy Davis.
Well, the Ed Reed draft, we drafted Quentin Jammer with like the number 5.
Oh, Quentin Jammer. There you go. God dang, Quentin Jammer. And I feel bad for Quentin Jammer because Quentin Jammer seems like he's having a tough time if you follow him today, as far as just mentally. Seems like he's having a tough time. But God dang, Quentin Jammer had terrible hands. Couldn't catch the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers didn't have a chance to pass on Troy Polamalu. Thankfully, we drafted later in that draft after him to get Sammy Davis.
I think there was a trade. There was a trade to move back.
Was there a trade to move back? I don't know. I was a kid.
I think it was a trade to move back. They could have had both.
I don't know what to say here, man. Well, this is a good transition. If we're going to talk about the Steelers, let's talk about our next topic.
Okay.
Should the Chargers trade for TJ Watt?
So here's the deal. We talked about this a week ago, and it's coming to fruition. Sports Illustrated is now reporting that Chargers could be interested in trading for future Hall of Famer TJ Watt. Now, to give you a little background, we all know what TJ Watt is, but things are changing. Just things do change with age. Watt has 108 108 sacks in 121 career games. He only had 11.5 sacks last year, and that's playing in all 17 games. He's obviously starting to show diminishing returns. Josh, let's just assume the Chargers were interested. What's the price? What would you give up?
I'd be willing to give up a 2nd-round pick. For me, TJ Watt and Trey Hendrickson are very similar in terms of production and age and what they're going to bring to the team. I don't think getting TJ Watt or Trey Hendrickson puts you over the top, but it does put you in a position to compete with the Chiefs probably right now. I don't know if the Chargers at this point are going to be able to compete with the big dogs like the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs because I just haven't seen this team on the field yet. Who knows? I could be wrong. The team could be right there in the position to compete with them. but I don't know if an edge rusher really puts you over the top. And like you said, TJ Watt is getting up there in years. He's going to be 31 this season. His cap hit is $30 million. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So me, a second round pick would be what I'd be willing to give up for TJ Watt. And if I was the Steelers and I really wanted to get away from him, because obviously they're willing to get rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, I'd probably take it.
I tell you what, I do like Trey Hendrickson better. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Hendrickson. And
I would too.
I see we have people in the chat saying the same thing. Nothing against TJ Watt, but I think the return for TJ Watt, two things. One is I think Steeler fans would expect, hey, we want a number one and possibly two number ones or a 1 and a 3. He's not that player anymore. At least he didn't show it a year ago, right? You aren't getting paid, as they say, for what you've done in the past. You're getting paid for what you're going to do in the future. And as TJ Watt on the downside, it happens quick in this league. We see guys age out in sports really fast. I kind of like the idea, though, that he is a free agent, Josh, just so you don't get locked in. I mean, how many times have we seen guys that get locked in? Next thing you know, the Chargers are taking a cap hit that they don't want.
You see that all the time. If you were to make a bet, who's going to have a bigger year, Trey Hendrickson or TJ Watt? I think most people would say Trey Hendrickson. The fact that Trey Hendrickson is putting up 19 sacks a year on the Cincinnati Bengals when he has nobody on that team to help him is out of control. Out of control. How can a guy that you only know there's one guy in the Cincinnati Bengals defense that can do anything, and you're still going to allow him to get 19 sacks a year? I'd be much more willing to get Trey Hendrickson. I think TJ Watt is still a fantastic player. But for me, he's probably the third best edge rusher in that division behind Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Hendrickson is so unusual to me where there aren't too many defensive guys where I go, okay, I'm tuning in to watch. I just find him fascinating. I'm older than everyone else on this show. He looks like a guy that was in a time machine that played in the late 70s. I mean, there's he doesn't use any of the stuff on his hands and elbows and neck braces. And I don't think he was a captain last year. I don't think he even had the C on his jersey. He just steps in and plays. And guys like him and Max Crosby, I love watching those guys go. Again, nothing against TJ Watt, but Hendrickson, I think, because he's on the Bengals, is one of the most underrated players in this league.
100%. Him and TJ Watt are the same exact age. They're both going to be unrestricted free agents in 2026. The difference is TJ Watt is due $30 million in 2025, and Trey Hendrickson's due 18. If you add either one of these guys onto the Chargers roster, that puts Khalil Mack as your third best edge rusher. That's pretty damn good. That would actually give you the best edge rushing combination between whoever you get between Hendrickson and Watt. If they were to do that, Khalil Mack and then Thule would be pretty out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Do the Chargers need help as far as pass rush goes? I think most people would say, yes, they do. I mean, every team will say they need more. This would be a major step in the right direction. The third story for you, NFL Network, they're going through that list that we talk about, right? We always look forward to it. They're NFL top 100 voted on by the players. Well, we know who number 100 is, okay? Number 100 is a Charger, which, right away, you're like, you're number 100. Like, you always feel like your guys should be higher than they are. The fact to be in the top 100, when you realize how many guys aren't listed, it's always a huge compliment. So number 100 is second-year receiver Ladd McConkey. Okay, number 100, 16 games last year, Josh, 82 receptions, 1,149 receiving yards, 14 yards per catch on an average, 7 TDs, fumbled the ball twice. Are you okay with him being number 100? Should he have been higher? Does he not deserve to be in the top 100?
Great question. So certain things piss off people from California. If you talk bad about their tacos, right? In San Diego, if you talk about who has the best taco shop, it's the most heated conversation of all time. The equivalent to that for Charger fans is talking bad about Ladd McConkey. Charger fans just love Ladd McConkey. If you look on social media, it is a Ladd fest everywhere. And I get it. I'm on board with it. I think Ladd's amazing. But when Charger fans found out that people around the league think he's players around the league think he's number 100, they were so pissed. And then if you look back at it, I'd say they have a right to be pissed. There's no way you can say Ladd McConkey is number 100 in the NFL. The guy literally was taking over the playoff game against the Texans when, just like Trey Hendrickson, there's only one guy you got to worry about, and it's him, and he still went off. I completely disagree. I don't know if Ladd is a top 10 receiver in the NFL, but I know he should be a lot higher than 100.
Do you take pride in knowing we have a Charger in there? I mean, because we know they're going to be multiple Chargers, right? You know, Justin Herbert's going to be there. Derwin James will be in there. Is there pride of that being your team, that it's important to you that, you know, your team is shown to have guys in the top 100?
It's important to me, but it's not very important. You're the one that always says, I'm at the point where I don't worry about individual awards. I worry about, team success. And I agree with you. But when Ladd comes in at number 100, it makes me think, well, how many other Chargers are going to be ahead of him? Because I thought we're going to have 6. I thought it was going to be Ladd, Herbert, Derwin, Khalil Mack, I think is going to get in there. And then I thought Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. I don't know if that's 6. I think that's 6. Right now, I don't think it's going to be 6 because if Ladd's number 100, I don't think Joe Alt's going to be there and maybe even Khalil Mack, which I think is ridiculous.
So let me ask you this. Who should be most concerned? Is it the coach, the player, or the GM to worry about this list?
I don't think anybody should be that worried about this list. Do you think
if you're the
that
GM, you don't want to show the owner that, hey, I know what I'm doing? Or do you go, it's too much pressure that I got this many guys? I mean, can you show your owner, dude, I'm pretty good at this job?
Maybe to him it matters. I don't know. If you're Spanos and you're looking at this list saying this is how we determine if he's good at his job, I don't know if you're looking at the right things. Yeah. What do you think? Would you care if you're the owner? Would you look at this list?
I think I would. I mean, what else am I doing? Counting my money, looking at if season tickets are sold out, and where are my stars? Does my GM have any idea what he's doing? I think I would.
I don't know. I mean, I'd care more about where Justin Herbert gets placed, and that's where Isaiah Francis comes in. He says, where do y'all predict Herbert to be placed at? Where would you place Justin Herbert on this list? People are going to get really upset when this comes out, by the way.
People are going to be frustrated. In all reality, you could list the quarterbacks 1 through basically 32, all right? Because we all know how important the quarterbacks are. But that's not the way it's going to go. I'm going to say Justin Herbert. God, I wish Mara was here. We got to ask him before they get to that part. I'm gonna go 39, Josh, and I think that's low or high, whichever one you work at it. I think, in reality, I don't think he's even going to be 39. I think he's probably going to be in the 40s, maybe 52 even. But I'm going to go 39.
Fall that far?
Wow. He hasn't won a playoff game.
I get it. Players in the league talk about him though, like he's the next coming of Jesus. I think he's going to be late 20s, early 30s is where he falls. And I think Derwin James is going to also fall in the 30s. It seems like Derwin James kind of falls in that slot every year. Do I agree with that list? If you haven't won a playoff game, it's really hard to put him higher than 30. If you're talking about from a pure talent perspective, he has to be in the top 10, but he's not going to be in the top 10.
Okay. Well, is this something funny? What if Justin Herbert came to camp and one of the questions first day is going to be about him not winning a postseason game? Like, what if he was quoted as saying, Jesus never won a playoff game either, and that was his stance? How would that rub people?
It's like Stevie Johnson when he dropped that ball for the Bills, and they asked him after the game what happened, and he blamed God for dropping the ball.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in sports, ever.
I was with you. We were like, did he just say that on TV?
Yeah.
Like, God did not want me to catch that ball. That's what he said.
I've been praying my whole life. I'm done. I'm completely done. Yeah, he gave up on religion and God in that very moment. And it said, I've wasted my entire life doing this.
If Justin Herbert makes any comment that makes us think twice, then something's going on because he's the most vanilla, person of all time, which is fine, I guess. You hate it. You hate that he's very vanilla, but that just seems to be who he is. He's not going to say anything about this list or anything that brings any attention to himself. It's just not who he is.
No, and again, it's not that I want to be vocal to the point where he's a jerk. I don't want an Aaron Rodgers type. I just want him to. He knows he's a vet. He knows when things aren't going the way they should, the right speed, and what's expected. And I just want to see him demand more from his teammates. I'm looking at guys in our chat, and I'm seeing 40 to 50 range. I agree with that. Dominic Rodgers is 50 to 70 range.
Somebody said 80 plus. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. I'm actually really curious now since we brought this up. Where does he fall? People are going to get pissed. Charger fans specifically are going to get upset if he's not in the top 40, probably. Even if he's not in the top 20, they're going to get mad. But you just got to look at it from an outside perspective. Where would you put a guy that's never won a playoff game?
Yeah.
Fans around the league think he's overrated. Charger fans, we know how good he is. We really just need him to succeed when it matters most.
He will be the highest ranked Charger on the list, correct?
I don't think so. I think Derwin will be.
Oh, that'd be interesting. God dang, that would be interesting to see if that was the case, that he'd be ranked higher. Kind of interesting. We one thing I want to bring up, I don't think I even had it to as far as stuff I want to touch on, but I saw it come across about the Cameron Dicker note. That Cameron Dicker is 3 field goal attempts away from being the most accurate kicker in NFL history. Remember, we always heard this number about Justin Tucker all the time. The most accurate kicker of all time. Yet, Cameron Dicker can't make a Pro Bowl or All Pro or anything else. But even if he misses the next 3 kicks, he's going to go down as the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
But you have to keep that up, right? Because Justin Herbert was the most accurate kicker, and then he started being really terrible.
Well, who was? I mean, Justin Tucker.
Yeah, I don't know. What did I say? I probably did. I probably did. Cameron Dicker, because you could be the most accurate kicker like Justin Tucker was, but if you keep missing kicks like he did, then you just fall out of that position. He needs to stay good, which I think he will. If you were to ask the question, which Charger is the best at their position, that's a really good question, because you have Rashawn Slater, who's the top 3 tackle. You have Joe Alt, who I think is he's probably not top 3 tackle yet, but he will be. You got Ladd McConkey, who's the top 10 receiver. You got Derwin James, who's a top 3 safety, in my opinion. And then you have Cameron Dicker. I think he's the best kicker in the NFL. I think he's the only guy on the Chargers you can say is the best at their position in the league.
Dude, I've seen guys who are buying jerseys. People are buying our kicker's jersey.
Because it says
Dick. That's kind of wild.
That's why they do it. Come on.
That's kind of wild. You think it's his name?
Yeah, it says Dick. If his last name was Smith, he wouldn't sell nearly as many jerseys. Guys are just guys.
Guys are guys to think it's that funny to spend $100 on a jersey that says Dicker on the back.
I wouldn't get a jersey that said Dick on it. It's not my thing, but some people like that. I don't know. I don't know
why anybody ever dates a guy. I like. It's like you go to any park tonight. I don't care what neighborhood you live in. You could live in Nashville, Tennessee. You could live in Los Angeles. You could live in San Diego. You could even be next to Mario's family somewhere in Florida. And there's some fat guy wearing a T-shirt playing in a softball league with number 69 on the back because he thinks it's hilarious. Every time, all across the United States, it's as old as time itself. There's always some overweight guy who has no idea, has never been involved in one, that always has to get the 69 T-shirt. 3X.
So that one guy.
One
3X.
guy.
It only comes in 3X because only people that are 3X do that. It's their thing. Dude, I saw something disgusting the other day.
All right.
On Chargers social media, okay? You know how all these social media teams, they go up to the players with those little microphones and they ask a question. All the guys answer. It's pretty good. I like stuff like that. Padres do it, the team I like for baseball. And the Chargers have the best social media team probably in the whole NFL. And the question was, how often do you wash your bed sheets? Did you see this?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question first, and then you answer it, okay? How often do you wash your bed sheets?
Every 5 to 7 days, probably.
I think that's the best answer. Once a week, right? And maybe once every 2 weeks. That was the most common answer on the reel.
Yeah.
What do you think Cameron Dicker's answer was?
Oh my God! It better be. I'm a germ freak. That's why I probably wash more than most people. I'm gonna go once a month. What do you say?
Once every 2 months.
Oh,
once every 2 months, which grossed me out completely. And then he kept going. He should have just walked away at that point, but he made it worse. He said, when I was in college, I went the whole semester without washing my sheets. I threw up. Like I thought it was the grossest, most disgusting thing I've ever heard. Let me ask you another question, okay?
Well, hold on real quick. I understand nobody wants to because nobody wants to deal with the fitted sheet, right? That's always the deal, right? Okay, I'm going to wash my sheets. After you do it, you're always happy you did it. But then nobody wants to make the bed. It's always the issue of making the bed. And everyone's like, I don't want to do the fitted sheets. Even if you live by yourself, it's a pain in the ass. One person doing all 4 corners of a fitted sheet sucks. But it's not as bad as you think. When it's done, you're like, that wasn't as bad as I thought. But doing it with someone else, okay, you share a bed with somebody, it always turns into a fight. You have the wrong corner. You're going the wrong way. Like, I don't know anyone who's ever made a bed with another person where it doesn't turn to a little bit of a minor fight. If you don't know what the F you're doing, you got the tags in the wrong place. Like, making the bed is really the worst part, is making it with another person, because someone's always going to be called stupid.
Are you talking about folding the fitted sheet or putting it
No,
on
I'm
the bed?
talking about putting it on the bed.
Okay. Yeah, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. I screw up all the time.
That's why people aren't washing the sheets on a regular basis. It's the making the bed part.
That's lazy.
That's
That's
the hassle.
incredibly lazy. Let me ask you another question. Okay. No right answer. Just curious what you think. How often should you change out your bath towel?
Oh, that's a good one. All right. When I was younger, I did it literally every day. When I lived in Tennessee,
It's a lot of laundry.
when I was in, it's all right. When I lived in Tennessee, because it's humid, like where you are right now, dude, I would shower 2-3 times a day because it was so goddamn humid. I wouldn't go sit on the couch all sweaty or get back in my bed all sweaty. And you can't avoid it because it's so goddamn hot, that I was showering 3 times a day. And I was like, washing it. If the towel is wet, the next time you take a shower from the last shower you just took, dude, you got to wash that towel. You can't dry yourself with a wet towel. So I'd fire through. Now that I live in Southern California, probably once every 3 days, I wash that towel.
Dude, me and you were on the same page for both things you just said. Once every 3 days, or if it's still wet when you shower next. You cannot dry yourself with a wet towel. I think it's the most repulsive thing of all time. It grosses me out for some reason.
You ever smell somebody that dry themselves with a moldy towel? They can't shake it off their skin.
Dude, some guy next to me at the gym the other day on the treadmill had it. And I was like, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
It's
got straight mold.
Sour. It's a real sour smell. It's gross. Yeah, sorry about this. Last thing that I want to talk about from a football standpoint, then we'll move over to the questions and then we'll go to the rant. What the hell are the Steelers doing? Trading Minkah Fitzpatrick back to the Dolphins.
All right, so here's the crazy trade. So I saw it go across my phone, and then you called me or texted me, and I was saying Jalen Ramsey going to the Steelers, because we all knew Jalen Ramsey was going to get moved. And then, because I don't wear glasses, unless I have to, I said, wait a second, did Minkah Fitzpatrick just get traded back to the Dolphins? And you said yes. And I go, wow, that's crazy. Then I'm like, I don't know what the hell the Steelers are doing. When you look at that old group of guys they have on that team, let's say they keep Watt, they have Aaron Rodgers, they have Slay, they bring in Jalen Ramsey. It's the whole thing's nuts. You're going, I don't know what the Steelers are holding on for. Like, when's Mean Joe Green coming back? It's just, what are we doing? What are we doing if you're the Steelers? It's not the organization that used to look up to and say they always seem to find talent, to sit there and make one last ditch effort for whatever this is, as they say in The Hangover, whatever this is, it's not working. That's what the Steelers are about to have this season. It's a really bad situation. And if I'm a Steelers fan, I can't tell you how upset I am that Minkah Fitzpatrick's no longer there.
I can't wrap my head around it. It doesn't make any sense to me. When you look at this Steelers team, dude, how many old guys do you have? You got Cam Hayward, who's 100. Yeah. You got Darius Slay, who's 101. You got Jalen Ramsey, who's 100. And then you have a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who's literally the oldest player in the NFL. I think the Steelers are one of the worst ran organizations in the NFL in the last few years. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Couldn't agree more, and they weren't that way. Now's the time for the Steelers to try and talk LeBron into leaving the NBA. LeBron's always talked about playing in the NFL. He's going to be 41 this year. Bring LeBron in. He'll fit right in with all those other guys that were born the same year in 1984. Go ahead. What a mess. Again, if I'm a Steeler fan, I'm like, this isn't what we do. What happened to us? What happened to the blueprint of what this organization's about? This isn't what we do.
Minkah Fitzpatrick was the back half of that defense leader. You got TJ Watt, Cam Hayward in the front, then you have Minkah in the back end, and then you get rid of him back to the Dolphins. Just one of the more confusing trades. I don't get it.
Which is so crazy that when the Dolphins gave up on Minkah, they gave up on him before he had a chance to even be great. Brian Flores hated him. Brian Flores hates anybody, I think, that's either from Alabama or just is pretty good and doesn't give him a chance. But Brian Flores hated Minkah, I guess, back in the day is what you're hearing.
He's like Alabama guys.
Yeah, it's Brian Flores doesn't like the Alabama guys. That's it. One more real quick, because the news came across and I saw you guys mention it. Darren Waller coming back to the NFL. You saw that?
I saw that right now. Yep.
Okay, so Darren Waller coming back to the NFL. A lot of people thought that, hey, he was done. We haven't seen him in a long time. I think the last time he played was 2022. Am I right on that? Just off top of my head. I believe it was 2020. So he's been out a while, and he's went through a divorce to Kelsey Plum. He went through some issues. He's had issues his whole life. Nobody wants to goof on guys that have issues. You hope they figure it out. 2023.
He took 1 year off.
So he only missed 1 year then. Not bad, right? Only missed 1 year. He's 32 years old, I believe. I don't have any notes in front of me. I believe he's 32. When he was great, meaning that he was into the game and physically, mentally, everything was going in the right direction for him. I don't mind the grab. I think if I'm the Dolphins, to take a shot. At the same time, if it doesn't go well, it could spell the end for the GM and the head coach. Could be the end.
I'm willing to take that chance, right? If you can get Darren Waller to do anything, you have no other good tight ends on the roster. You get Pharaoh Brown as your other tight end. You just made a move for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think the Dolphins aren't a playoff team, not even close, really. But I feel like the GM is making the right moves the last 2 days to put them in a better position than they were last week.
Yeah.
I don't know. That team isn't very good, though.
I agree. The fact you brought Minkah back for what Jalen was making, that's a good deal. Someone wrote in here, I just saw it go by real fast. His music career didn't take off, so he's coming back. One of the craziest things happened when I was a kid, Josh, was Ed Too Tall Jones. You've heard of that name, right?
Yeah.
Played defensive end, Hall of Famer from the Dallas Cowboys. Actually went to TSU in Nashville in college. And Ed Too Tall Jones was an outstanding football player. He quit all of a sudden in the middle of his career. He just quit and became a professional boxer and got the crap kicked out of him every time you saw him box. And then he went back to the NFL and finished out his Hall of Fame career. It was bizarre to be really good at something and go, no, I'm going to be a pro boxer. And then they'd show fights like once a week on CBS on the weekends. And anytime Ed Too Tall Jones fell, man, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And man, Ed Too Tall Jones would get knocked out. It was embarrassing. But he said boxing made him a better player. Hopefully, you look at the situation with the Dolphins and bring him back a guy that said football's not for me. Maybe he goes on and has a great couple years and finishes it out. People will remember him a little bit different.
We'll see. I mean, he's going to get some balls thrown to him by Tua. He likes throwing it to the tight end. We got a comment here from Victor Correa, 499, says, not a Chargers-related question, but did you guys see Gilbert Arenas and T-Mac say that they would win titles that Kobe won if they got to play with Shaq and Gasol? Thoughts? What do you think about that?
Disagree on both of those. All right. Number one, I'm a big Laker fan. I used to cover that Laker team. I was lucky back in the day when they had Kobe and Shaq. Dude, Kobe took second fiddle a lot during the Shaq years, and it finally he was done with it. I tell people this story all the time. When I used to get to a Laker game that was supposed to start at 7:30, I'd get there at 2:15 in the afternoon, and there were 3 people at the Forum. It was Chick Hearn, it was me, and it was Kobe Bryant. And then Shaq would come walking in at 6:30 before the game. Never worked on a free throw before the game. Kobe always working on his game all the time, And then the game would start, and the offense had to run through Shaq. And it went on for years like this. It went on until the point where Kobe's like, dude, just trade me. I don't want to be here anymore. And then they traded Shaq to the Heat. You guys know the story. Kobe worked hard and then went second fiddle. Gilbert Arenas and T-Mac were not going to take second fiddle the way Kobe did as long as he did. I'm telling you right now. And there's nothing Gilbert Arenas can say to me, Josh, that makes any sense. After you bring a gun into the workplace, dude, you're straight out badass crazy. That's the way I look at it. Right?
100%. Right, 100%. The only T-Mac might have been able to win a championship with Shaq because of how crazy good he was and similar to Kobe in some ways. There's no way in hell Gilbert Arenas was going to win a championship with Shaq or Gasol. Their playing styles just would have never worked. Kobe was a winner. He was a great defensive player as well. I don't buy that for a second. Gilbert Arenas talks out of his ass all the time, so I don't buy into anything he really says.
Gilbert
It sounds really good.
Gilbert Arenas was Dwight from The Office. Things are going really well. Then he messed it all up by bringing that gun in the workplace.
Damn right. All right. Do we have a rant today?
Yeah, I got a rant. I got a few of them for you, but I'm not going to be popular in this one right here. It's women's clothing. I don't wear women's clothing, but I look at women in women's clothing. Okay, obviously like everybody else. Now, look, here's the deal. I've noticed about women's fashion this year. Okay. Mm-hmm. One is these big jeans that women are wearing. Like, I don't understand it. Like, who approved this? Look, I'm just going to say exactly, since I know most of the people in the chat are guys. did we like to see the tight jeans? Because we want to know what's out there. We kind of want to know what you're working with before you're even working, or even worth just even keep staring. Because the girls with the tight jeans, they're like, oh, that girl has a great body, and you keep staring. Even the ones that don't have a great body can look really good in the right jeans. Am I right? You don't have to say a damn thing, okay? You don't have to say a damn thing. But the girls are wearing the big jeans. I have no idea what's going on underneath there. You're throwing me off. Like, it is the most bizarre thing. Why would anybody wear this clothing? And why would you pay so much for it when it just masks what the hell's going on? You might as well be wearing painter pants. Like, I have no idea what's going on with these goddamn jeans. Okay, now that being said, let's go up top. You know what's back in style, and you weren't even alive when this happened, but I know there are people about my age in there. In the late 70s, mid 70s, girls used to wear what they call tube tops. You know what a tube top is, Josh?
No.
Tube top is a top that goes like this all the way around. Okay, didn't go over the shoulders.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Right away, let's be honest. You're looking at a girl's rack, and you're like, man, that girl looks great. I know exactly what I'm possibly working with by looking at the rack. Now, look, back in the 70s, I would have been too young to be working with anything. You would have called the cops. But at the same time, you know, most kids, a little young, they're perverted. They're still thinking, what's underneath that tube top? Now we can see tube tops are back. Jeans are bad. Tube tops are good. Okay. Why can't we hit both at the same time? Like, in a perfect world, we'd have the tight jeans and the tube tops. How do we end up with the bad jeans and the tube tops? Like, why can't we just have both? I don't understand this 50-50 crap. Who talked people into this?
I'm with you on this one. The jeans aren't the look. Like, I don't like them at all. Tube tops are great, right? I don't think anybody
you
argue
made
with
my
that.
day right there in that comment, because I thought for sure I was going to offend some Angie or another female in this chat for saying you're a pig. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, it's a good rant. I agree with you. Do you have anything else today? Is that it?
No, I got another one, but I'll hold back. I'll wait till Mario gets here because it's a mafia movie rant. It's the Alto Kings, which I watched last night and then got up this morning and watched the rest of it because it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I can't stay up all night watching this. I'll get into that on the next one because I love mafia movies. So does Josh. So does Mario. Kind of crazy. Robert De Niro's in it, so you're thinking it has to be good, right?
He was in The Irishman that wasn't good recently.
Wasn't good.
Yeah,
it wasn't exactly good. It was long. I do like one thing about mafia movies that makes me laugh. They use the same actors in every movie, right? I mean, same ones from Goodfellas, from Sopranos to, dude. Yeah, Artie Bucco. Yeah, Artie Bucco's wife's in this one.
She is.
And I'm like, not a surprise. Wow. Yeah, not a surprise. By the way, underrated. I always thought she was hotter and didn't get enough airtime on The Sopranos. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. So that'll be my next rant. We'll be talking about the Alto Kings and Robert De Niro and how there's something happened in this movie that I've never seen in any movie in my life ever. And I'll tell you what it is.
I'm interested in that.
Ever. You're gonna be shocked. I think if you haven't seen it, you're going to be shocked and go, wow, I've never heard of that ever happening in a movie with a movie that has an A-list star like Robert De Niro. All right.
Okay.
I'm curious if anyone goes to watch it, if you guys see what I see. That's what I'm curious to know. All right. That's it. We threw a bunch at you. We got to actual football stuff, believe it or not. Hey, appreciate everyone joining us. We're back. The goal is to be back Tuesday, 1:00. We think Mario's back.
Wait, right? We're only doing one show this week?
Oh, Thursday. God dang it. I got my days all mixed. We're back Thursday. 1:00.
Damn right we are. Right, the day before the 4th of July, we'll be here.
Yeah, day before the 4th. Dude, I'm so goddamn sleep deprived with I've been coaching a lot of baseball in this sun. I don't know. Do I look all sunburned?
You look a little red. It's not terrible.
I swear to God, I thought it was Thursday today until you just said that. All right, we're back on Thursday, 1:00. We'll be all ready to go. So I appreciate everyone joining us today. The comments in the chat were fantastic. We see them all. If you didn't get a chance to have it read on there and you have something to say, go ahead and write it in YouTube. Josh and I will respond to that one. And please subscribe to the show like we always tell you to do. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for being part of the show today. JT behind the scenes, thank you so much for all that you're doing as well. So for Mario Herron, who's not here, Josh Palet, I'm Dave Palet. We'll see you Thursday, 1:00. Good God. Thursday, 1:00.